You are listening to the Ranch Hand Podcast. There we go.
Okay.
How are you doing? I think last time I talked to you, I was in primary, so that was quite a few years ago.
Yeah, it has been a long time.
Yeah. So how have you been?
Good, good. How about yourself? Hey, can you hear my other TV in the background? Let me turn that down.
Oh no, you're good. I can't hear it.
You can't? Well, let me
No.
hit it anyway, real quick. Hold
Okay.
on.
No worries.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm living out in Colorado right now because my wife's finished doing her grad degree. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, that's kind of, I
Are,
guess.
are you finished up then with school?
No, so the fall will be my last semester. I have more semester of school, and then yeah, after that we'll see where we end up after she finishes up grad school and stuff. But
Okay. What's she going to school for?
she did psychology for her undergrad, and she is doing a major or a whatever a master's in social work, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And what are
Well,
you studying?
I'm studying ag business, and then after I finish, I'm going to be going into the military. So we'll see how
Okay.
that all pans out
How that
after.
all pans out? Yeah. I think
So
be good.
yeah, no, we'll see. But I guess on the subject, I'm curious because did you grow up in Wisconsin, or how did you go from BYU to living in Wisconsin Rapids?
So I grew up in Wisconsin Rapids. Actually,
Oh, okay.
was born in Wisconsin. My parents moved out to Durango, Colorado for I believe about 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then we were back in Wisconsin. So my dad actually uh, was a grad assistant at BYU with when Lavelle was there.
Oh, good.
So that was really my connection. Well, plus being a member of the church, but that was my connection uh, with BYU was really through my dad.
Okay, gotcha. What did you study at BYU?
I was a business at BYU, and it was a great time. I mean, I enjoyed all 4 years. I took a couple of summer school classes to be able to finish in four. So, but I enjoyed my time there. It was great. It was
Mm,
hard. It was hard when my kids were being recruited to play, and whether they were going to go to Wisconsin or BYU.
mm,
It was difficult decision for those guys, and for it was nice for us when they stayed home at Wisconsin to be able to watch them,
mm.
play locally. But I'm still a pretty avid BYU fan.
Yeah, I think my dad would join you at that. I don't, all of my siblings that have gone to college, my two younger sisters, we all ended up at Utah State. And
Okay,
then my oldest sister ended up at BYU Hawaii, not quite Provo. So my dad has yet to have a kid go to Provo, so he's little bummed
right,
about that.
right, right. Yeah, it's been like I said, it's been fun. So we've had a good time.
Okay. Yeah, so I looked at your Cranberry website a little bit because I was curious about the history there, and it was your wife's dad's, is that correct?
Yeah, so I worked for my father-in-law throughout. high school, I worked there probably 2 or 3 summers, and then
Okay.
after Jamie and I got married, it was a decision whether I was going to go kind of into coaching, you know, being a grad assistant at BYU, and then kind of get into coaching. But it worked out. I mean, it worked out. We decided to come back to the cranberry marsh and cranberry industry, and I love to hunt and so forth. So it works out. Really well being outdoors and so forth. And, after
Hmm.
harvest, our harvest usually ends at the end, in the end of October. So, we've got, really November, December time periods to be able to hunt. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's nice. Works out well.
Yeah, that is nice. That's a pretty open window for hunting wise anyways.
It is. You get done with harvest, and you've got a little time to be able to do different things. So I just got back from Africa here. So
Oh,
I was in Africa and doing some hunting there,
okay.
and it's a fabulous fabulous place to hunt if you're a hunter. So it's I actually love hunting there. I didn't never thought I'd ever want to go there even.
Hmm.
You know, I like hunting elk and different things. I've been up to Alaska and hunted moose and caribou and stuff up there, but actually Africa is probably one of my favorite places to hunt. So it's a pretty cool place and can be done really reasonable too.
Hmm.
You know, South Africa type hunting versus, some other places, it can be done pretty reasonable.
Okay. What did you hunt out in Africa?
I've got a really good, he's a friend now. I mean, each time a person um you know decides to go or whatever, and you go for your very first time.
Hmm.
The guy that I'm hunting with, his name is Lieb Duran,
Okay.
and his it's Ingwe Safaris.
Okay.
Um, in fact, I probably got to get your dad to take you over there. It's probably what we need to do. So Ty and I hunted there last year together,
Hmm.
and then I went over with a group this year, and then Ty and I are going back in 26 with actually a bunch of players that played. Mike Kime is going to go with us. Courtney Rogers, some guys that we played with. Ty's going to go back, so we've got
Hmm.
a bunch of guys headed back in 26.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Uh, when you go out there, is there like specific hunts? I don't know for like
So,
trying.
I mean, it's usually, the very first year I did a package. The package was kudu, gemsbuck, and impala, blessbuck, and springbuck.
Okay.
Uh, it was a good package to start with, and then basically after that it's kind of a la carte. You just pay per animal,
Okay.
but you can do a South Africa hunt for what an expensive elk hunt costs. um you know by the time you get over there, fly over there, get your animals back,
Hmm.
uh and so forth. But it to actually hunt there, it's very very reasonable, very
Hmm.
reasonable. Now you get into some other areas. You go up to Tanzania or some other places, and the daily rates there are pretty heavy.
Hmm.
uh, but when you start out, South Africa is a good place to start. It's really reasonable. The guy that I hunt with I can't recommend him enough. I mean, he's phenomenal. His facilities are awesome. Um, it's not, it's not the grind of being, in Tanzania and wall tents, or, Uganda or someplace. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I actually, this last time, so I shot, like, my very first trip, I think I killed like maybe 10 animals. This trip I didn't shoot as many. I only killed, I think, maybe 5 or 6, but
Hmm.
I hunted buffalo when I was here this last time. So it was
Oh,
fun. We
yeah.
track buffalo, and I
Hmm.
ended up I ended up killing one on the second day. So
Oh,
after probably 10 miles of tracking the first day and another 5 or 6 the next day, and then ended up killing a pretty nice bull.
okay. Do you bring over your own rifles or is it you?
Yeah. Yeah, we bring over our own rifles. You fill out a, I think it's a 4457 form. It's a customs form.
Hmm.
Um, and then that's to get your rifle back into the country. South Africa always also uses that when you fill out their gun permits. It's actually really simple. I use Gracie Travel
Okay.
uh, out of they book hunts all over the world, but into South Africa, it's actually they're fantastic. So they've got a representative that meets you basically when you get off the plane, um, get your baggage, and then Bruce is fantastic. He meets us in the police station, runs our paperwork,
Hmm.
and gets everything squared away and gets us to a hotel that night. And then, usually, you're flying out the next morning to different destinations. Or sometimes if you're hunting up in Lipopo, guys are getting picked up right there and zipping up right from Johannesburg and headed up. So,
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. What caliber rifle are you using?
um, for South Africa, for dangerous game, you have to use a 375 or larger.
Okay.
So I've got a 375 Ruger that I hunt with on the dangerous stuff, and then um, I've got a couple different guns that I took over. I took a 7 Psalm
Okay.
and a 300 short mag.
Okay.
So and then those are all suppressed guns. So in South Africa, they let you bring suppressors, and actually they encourage you to have a suppressor on your gun. So it's
Hmm.
very nice when you're on sticks or you're stalking and so forth. You don't have to have earplugs in. You know,
Hmm.
it makes it nice. I mean, it's a pain. It's really a pain to have. Dealing with earplugs and so forth. In fact, it's you can buy suppressors so cheap over there. Um, it's they look at them as hearing protection in the
Hmm.
United States. We're regulated and so forth.
Yeah.
I pay 12 to 1500 bucks for a suppressor here, and you can buy them over there for about 200 bucks. So for a good titanium suppressor, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. They're going to have
Oh,
United States is going to have to make some changes to some of that route because it's just hearing protection is what you're dealing with.
yeah. No, that's maybe I'll have to think about that when I go to buy a suppressor. I'll just have to buy it from South Africa.
Yeah, well, the problem is you gotta register it back, when you come here, because
Yeah,
you've got your paperwork and so forth, and
that's true.
that's an ATF violation and so forth. So it's not anything you want to mess with, but yeah,
Uh,
they're cheap over there. It's especially when we're paying, for your stamp and all that, and they're
hmm.
overcharging you for the price of the suppressor here. It's pretty terrible.
Yeah, no. Darn. Yeah, USA should figure the United States should figure out how to make them
They
a
need
little
to think.
cheaper.
They need to figure. People think that that they don't make any sound and that they're who knows that they're a terrorist thing. I mean, it's most ridiculous thing, but unless you're shooting subsonic ammo through a suppressor
Yeah.
and still it makes noise. I mean, you're basically reducing the amount of noise to where you don't have to put earplugs in is really it's just hearing protection is all it is.
Yeah, no, I agree. They're cool too. I mean, my dad he wants to get the MCX Spear, and then he wants to put a silencer on it. Sig's new the Army
Okay.
rifle, so he wants
Okay.
to get that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
So you said Africa that you're going back. Do you have like a, because you said it mentioned Alaska. What did you hunt in Alaska?
Um, I've been up to Alaska a couple different times. I actually went up there with one of my buddies, Mike Kime, took me up in 2020, and we floated a river
Oh.
and did a self-guided hunt. So we floated a river. We took a charter flight in, dropped us off, and 2 weeks later picked us up, 100 miles downriver. And so we just hunted our way down the river.
Hmm.
hunting caribou, and they're coming right off of the coast. So you're hunting them right out of the Arctic, and then they drop into where we're kind of hunting. So
Mm-hmm.
we're and they migrate through and then they migrate back. They kind of migrate back and forth where we're at. It's the porcupine herd. It's a really good herd. So you can get two caribou tags in that area that we're in,
Mm-hmm.
and then we hunted moose. So it's an epic trip. I mean, so we float down a river and just camp, stay in each camp for probably anywhere 3, 4, 5 nights,
Mm-hmm.
just float our way down and just hunt your way down all the way. So I
Interesting.
killed just a giant caribou up there my first trip, um, and then shot a legal moose. And then my second trip, I never saw a decent legal moose at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, saw a couple bulls, but nothing. The moose population where we're at is not really a great population. The caribou are phenomenal, so
Mm-hmm.
more of a caribou destination than a moose. So I took my boy and a couple other buddies up, so there was four of us, and then made that float in 23. Um, it's great. I mean, I can't say enough about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just a cool hunt, man. Just a really cool hunt.
Yeah, that
Well,
sounds fun.
we ended up killing. My boy shot two caribou. I shot two caribou. The migration was surprisingly almost done when we got up there. So they migrated way earlier than they ever have,
Mm-hmm.
and we missed a lot of it. And I was suspicious of it when I saw the trails. They were really beaten down, and the caribou numbers were not great as far as movement, but a lot of caribou have already passed through. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it was still a great hunt.
Yeah.
So,
No, that sounds really fun. Is it like set campsites down this river, or is it you just kind of pull off and
no,
just kind of
no,
camp?
you just kind of pull off and camp. Um, we've got campsites that we know, over the years to be on.
Mm-hmm.
So really, I mean, after the first trip, I kind of knew where all the caribou, how they moved, where they were moving through, what the pinch points were.
Mm-hmm.
But I gained a lot of valuable information from Mike. I think it was his sixth or seventh trip up there when we went. So, and then we had another player that Drayton Martin, that Drayton had been up there with Mike, and then Drayton probably did 3 or 4 trips by himself. And so I had talked to Drayton about it
Mm-hmm.
multiple different times on where a guy should camp and so forth to catch the migration. So on the upper part of the river, you're really hunting caribou.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the lower part, then it's basically moose. You get out of the caribou territory and get into more heavily forested areas versus tundra up on the upper part. It's mostly tundra up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, that would be a fun. That sounds like a really fun hunt. I'd probably want to bring my fly rod and do some fishing while I was going down
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, the fishing's phenomenal. I mean, the only thing that there are up there are grayling because we're up so far north.
Mm-hmm.
The only fish that we catch are grayling, but they're really fun to catch. Water, you can drink the water right out of the river, and
Oh,
it's glaciered water, so it's pretty cool place.
yeah, that's cool. Is there any bear hunting up there at all, or is it just
Yeah,
caribou
I
and
mean
moose?
that you have to have a guide
Mm-hmm.
in the area that we're at. There is a outfitter that Lyle's got that area, and um, so you have to go through them
Mm-hmm.
to be able to get bear tags. We got tons and tons of bears up there. In fact, we had bears on the last trip that were I think they ate three of our caribou.
Oh
It was terrible. We floated out of one camp that basically ran us out. I think we saw the bear in 2020, and I actually think it was the same male boar.
wow.
Yeah, in 23 that was back on us. They hear the gunshots and they know animals are, going down, and they really come into them. So we floated into the next camp. We actually killed a couple caribou that I think it was maybe the second night we were there, and there were bear that on us there right after they heard the gunshots. And then my boy thought his rifle was off a little bit, so I was probably maybe 2 or 3 nights later. He took another shot with his. We took, just to check his zero on his rifle, and that night we had another bear come in and or the same bear really come in and take some more meat out of our meat stash. And
No.
in Alaska, you're required to bring out, all of your meat in quarters. So you want to so we videotaped all the the bear activity and so forth. And actually, when we landed, we had Fish and Game waiting for us on the tarmac when we landed. And and just I had videotaped everything,
Hmm.
in video evidence of the bear, because they I mean, and rightfully so. You don't want guys going up and just
Yeah.
trophy hunting and not bringing out the meat and bringing out everything with you. So we actually you can bring your meat back, but you can also donate it. We usually donate some of our meat when when we're there in Fairbanks. And in fact, I donated. You fill out some paperwork, for the person that you're donating to, and I
Hmm.
donated it. I called up a couple bishops, had a couple of wards there, and on the very first trip we were up there and donated some caribou and some moose to them. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's yeah, that's really yeah, I could see the bears being a problem. That would be really frustrating, especially if it was the end of your trip and you'd gone that whole time and then they got your caribou or whatever you shot. That would be really annoying.
yeah, it's a little unnerving when when you can hear them walking around your tent at night. And I don't use bear fencing up there because you're regulated to a certain amount of weight, when you go in. So, and you can hear the bears walking around your tent. It is a little unnerving when you're sleeping,
Mhm.
right next to them. I mean, they're just, they're right there coming through camp.
Yeah, no, that is that would be because it's grizzlies up there, right?
Yeah, yeah, they're inland grizzlies. They're not browns. Well, they're brown bear, but they're inland grizzlies. So beautiful bears. I mean, they're
Hmm.
really pretty bears. I mean, awesome looking bears.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're still dangerous. Needless to say. I mean, people think that they can. It's funny because we're talking to the Fish and Game, and
Hmm.
people go up there with a 9 millimeter or something and think that they're protecting themselves with a sidearm or whatever. So he carries a 308 automatic, with about a 10 or 12 shot clip with it. So he just said, you better have a lot of shots and they better be fast and you better have enough horsepower because the handguns just don't do it. So I probably would trust what his opinion would be. He said, he investigates a lot of different accidents that happen up there. And he said, guys that are coming up there with handguns, you're not doing yourself justice. So, I do carry a sidearm when I'm up there. I do have a 357, but, he said you might as well use that on yourself when the bear attacks you. So, I mean, when you sleep at night,
Hmm.
you've got your handgun there, but you've got your rifle sitting right next to your cot. So I've got it, sitting right underneath the cot just in case, they decide to come in your, they know. I mean, the bears know. They're not, they try, they're afraid of you. But they want to come in there and slide in and steal some meat or some of your goods and so forth. But,
Yeah.
they're, yeah.
Yeah, my dad and I, when I was going out to college after my mission, we stopped up in Wyoming and went to the Wind Rivers and we just did like some backpacking up there. And so we had to hang our food and stuff up in a tree because of the black bears and stuff up there. But
Right.
yeah, it's yeah, I can't remember where I heard this, but I think I saw a video or something about, those grizzlies and they like I don't remember they used a bunch of different calibers on their skull and it like a 9 millimeter does like nothing to their
Yeah,
skull. It's crazy.
it, it's useless. So yeah, they're a pretty vicious animal. I mean, if you know, especially the sows with cubs and so forth,
Yeah.
which we didn't come across any of them. Most of the two bears that were raising problems with us were both boars.
Hmm.
Um, that we had problems with up there.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah, Africa and Alaska are on the bucket list of cool hunts to do. I think I would love to do a horseback, like up in the mountains elk hunt. I think that would be a really, really fun hunt. And so my dad's actually coming out because I got a over-the-counter turkey tag, so I'm gonna do some turkey hunting coming up here soon. So hopefully we haven't had a lot of luck with turkeys, so we'll see how that goes.
yeah.
But
Well, you should come back to Wisconsin. Or Iowa and so forth. I mean, we've got plenty of turkeys, down in those areas. So
mm,
no, yeah, turkey hunting's fun. It's a good time in the spring and whatever else. And with our business, we get so busy right now this time of the year that um, turkey hunting is fairly tough for me to do.
yeah.
But
So with your so you have the cranberry farm. It looked like you had like a cooking show too or something involved, and then like a whole banquet thing too. Is that like what is all
my wife,
that?
yeah, my wife runs a facility. It's called Rooted in Red.
Hmm.
Um, and she does a lot of parties and weddings, and she'll have band events. So it started out as kind of a retail shop,
Hmm.
and then it's kind of morphed into more of a wedding venue facility. So it's actually it's a beautiful place. She keeps on doing some upgrades and so forth, and it gets a little nicer and nicer each year, and she keeps dialing it in. So she went from a couple weddings to 10 weddings to
Oh, wow.
12, now to 13 this next year. So she's got a lot of stuff going with that. Yeah, and then really Andrew Zimmer, we did a cooking show with him.
Hmm.
Andrew's I think it was Farm to Table, I believe it was called. And yeah, Andrew Zimmer he was fantastic to deal with. And then I also did another wild game cooking show. So it was, yeah, just kind of a couple little things guys asked us to do or whatever, and
Hmm.
we agreed to do it. So yeah.
No, that's cool. Yeah, well, the barns and stuff seem to be kind of the big wedding crave, I guess you could say, it seems. So,
It is. I mean, we've got a packing house facility that's a big tile warehouse that was built in the 30s, and she started out with taking just part of that building and then half of it, and then basically the whole building. So we ended up, it was kind of like a catch-all place that we had stuff, and we just moved everything out of there, and
hmm.
we kind of took it from there. So it's like I said, it's got nicer, and she just made it. And it is very cool when she gets the thing decorated. It's got an unbelievable vibe to it, and my daughter helps her with that, and those two run that part of the business, and they do a good job with it.
Yeah.
I
So,
wasn't on I wasn't on board at first. I was like, this is more of a pain, and then she just kept proving herself like this, I can do this, and then you see the results of
mhm,
people that come and are so happy with the facility and the wedding that they had and so forth, and kind of making people's their dream wedding and so forth, making that kind of come true, and they do a really good job of that.
yeah. Is there like a specific time of year that you have an influx of these weddings, or is it kind of throughout the
Yeah,
whole
we usually
year?
start. Well, I mean, we just put in a new heating system. We put in new bathrooms. We did a bunch of new stuff. So to expend, we're going to extend our season out. So, she's June to October on
Hmm.
her wedding side, and then we'll probably end up pushing 2 months either way. On the wedding front. In Wisconsin, weddings if they're outdoor, you never know what April's going to bring you.
True.
But definitely May, we'll definitely probably have something, some events in May. But usually the kickoff is the first week in June.
Okay. Gotcha. And then you mentioned your daughter. Do any of your other kids help out with the any of the operation, or is it mostly your daughter and or do your sons at
Yeah,
all?
my daughter and son-in-law are on another cranberry marsh down in southern in Toma area. So they're about an hour and 10 minutes away from us to the south.
Hmm.
So they're on that cranberry marsh and running that operation there.
Okay.
I've got a good partner that I'm in partners with on that marsh and Nick is our one of our partners, my son-in-law. So he's a member of the church too. Just a good hard Nick Hoffman, the Hoffmans out of Gresham area.
Yep.
Yeah, so good guy.
Well, they didn't move back to Gresham, so that's saying something because that
Yeah,
seemed to be the theme there.
that, yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of Huffmans in Gresham. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
he's a good, hardworking guy. I couldn't really have a better son-in-law than him.
that's good. Yeah, I been looking out in the brother-in-law department so far, so I'm hoping my youngest sister will keep the train rolling because my youngest younger sister under me married my best friend from college, one of my best friends from college.
Okay.
And then my older sister just married a just great guy. He's awesome. We love him. He actually shot a pretty big buck this past year out on my dad's land, so which a lot of people were looking at. So it was kind of
Yeah, I think I might have saw that deer that your dad. I think your dad sent it over to me, right?
yeah, yep. That
Yeah.
was my brother-in-law.
Yep, yep. For some reason I thought he told me his son, but maybe it was son-in-law. So yeah, I remember yeah, Pops sent that over to me, I think during hunting. Was that bow? Was that bow or was that a gun?
I think that was Bo. Yeah,
I
Bo.
don't Was it bow?
I think so.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly when he sent that over, but I remember it was a pretty doggone nice deer. Right there and kind of right there in the Marshfield area, right?
Yeah, I think it was just in my dad's backyard. Just I guess yeah, I think it was just in his backyard.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Right there. Yeah.
yeah.
Good deal.
So
Yeah. Deer.
yeah, no, it was the big talk of the town. Everybody knew within like two
Oh,
days.
really?
So everybody like we went out and visited them. We were there for Christmas, and everybody just knows my brother-in-law now. And I'm like, he's like, I don't know who that person is, but it's
Yeah.
just kind of
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
But
Well, when you kill one of the biggest deer right around that area, right in that, people are going to talk and so forth. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's yeah, good for him. And yeah, it was a really nice deer. Um, but yeah, I was looking at your website. What is the hybrid cranberry crop that you linked up with the University of Wisconsin with? What was that? Like, what is
Yeah.
that?
So yeah, we've got. I work with the University of Wisconsin in their cranberry varieties. Uh, so that they've it originally started out with about 4,000 different varieties, different crosses, hybrid crosses, and different crosses that were done.
Mm-hmm.
And then we made selections out of that, narrowed it down, and then did a couple more other crosses. And then, now have sized up a bunch of different varieties that have different characteristics. First being that they yield, twice as much as some of the hybrids that we've had before,
Mm-hmm.
such as Stevens and Ben Lears. And so I'm a propagator for the University of Wisconsin. So let's say you're a cranberry grower and you want to, plant some Sundance vines, which are a variety that is patented by the University of Wisconsin.
Oh,
You just contact me and I would link you with them, and there's a small royalty fee that you start out with, and then I sell you the vines, and you've got those vines that you can mow and use for your own propagation on your own cranberry marsh.
oh,
So, and they all have different characteristics. Some are um, really good for SDCs, which are, craisins. Some are a little bit on the sweeter side. Um, good for, fresh fruit, market. Other ones just have different harvest timing. So some of the bigger marshes, they can start a lot earlier and then kind of have different varieties that can kind of fit into their harvest schedule as they're harvesting to be able to spread their harvest out so you're not harvesting everything at one time.
Hmm.
Um, so that's kind of that aspect to the business there.
Are there specific ones that you guys grow specifically, or are you kind of
I
more
we
like
actually have
testing?
them all. No, we
Oh,
actually have them all. So we've got it started out with high red. High red does not have a patent on it anymore. It has exceeded a 20-year patent. And then one of the selections that I was involved with heavily was a variety called Sundance, um, which is still very desirable. Another variety is Big Red, which is a new variety that is out. Has a lot of promise. Another variety is called Sweetie. Um, Very good fresh fruit variety. And then another one would be Ruby Star, early variety, good yielding, really has a good track record up in northern Wisconsin. So um, yeah, so those are the four that are being really propagated and pushed right now.
okay. Uh, I guess who do you distribute it out to the most? Like who are your,
They've went all over. I've sold stuff to Oregon, to Canada. Um, some stuff went out east. Uh, mostly Wisconsin growers,
hmm
but we have, I have sent quite a bit to BC and then Eastern Canada also.
Okay, gotcha. Wow, that's more. I did not know anything about cranberry farming, so that's that's a good
Yeah, yeah.
good little
I mean,
understanding.
yeah, I mean, the new varieties. It really, some are have a little bit more disease resistant and so forth. Than some of the other different varieties. So it's just trying to work on the sustainability aspect of farming is big. With the hybrids, you're able to utilize the same amount of acreage that you would with a less desirable variety, and you can produce a lot better product off of the same amount of water, virtually the same amount of fertilizer, the same amount of inputs and so forth, and you've got the return, with the cranberries that it's just a better, these new varieties, unfortunately are, pump too many cranberries into the market because they're so good and so efficient.
hmm Yeah, interesting. Um, so I was gonna ask something about that. I can't remember. Um, oh, my dad was curious about this. Are you buying a lot of hunting land?
No,
Okay.
I no, I haven't. I did at one point in time,
Okay.
when the prices were right.
hmm
I bought and sold 1031, just kind of, down in Iowa. I've got a farm down there. But no, I haven't bought any property in 15 years.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, that's kind of, well, 14, yeah, 14, 13 years, something like that.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's been a while, but before that, yeah, I was buying a lot of property, but then it just started jumping and jumping and jumping. And
Yeah.
when I first started buying property at $400, $500 an acre, it was a little different than 5, 6, $7,000 an acre. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, oh, okay. Cranberries. So how is it, I guess since they get flooded and then you harvest them after that, Does the soil get affected if do you have to rotate something in there, or how does that all work?
No, I mean the cranberries are planted in a bed of sand. So let's say
Oh,
you have 12 inches of sand. You try to keep that as pure as you can, and
mm-hmm,
and then they're drain tiled. So each bed is a rectangular, and then we've got drain tile that's gridded throughout with header pipes on either end of it. So you maintain the moisture level in the bed. And then to regenerate vine growth about every 3 years, we put sand on the ice. So when we
hmm,
make in the winter, you cap your beds over with a cap of ice, anywhere from 12 to 15 inches of ice.
mm-hmm.
And you can drive your dump trucks right out there with sand in your dump trucks, and you spread that sand, out on the ice, and then it melts through the ice, and then it reinvigorates your cranberry vines.
Hmm, interesting.
Yeah.
That's way better
So
than
we've got
having.
we've got we've got vines that are 50, 60 years old.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds way better than having to a lot of farms you have to like rotate your crops because of the soil and like nitrogen and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. No, I mean cranberries, are unique. I mean, we don't really apply a lot of fertilizer to them. There's about a window of 4 to 5 weeks where we're actually applying nitrogen to them during fruit set.
hmm
Um, and it's really the driest time of the year, so you really don't have really a lot of leaching effect. We use a boom to get it out there efficiently on the bed, so it's you don't have a lot of spillage or overspill. Um, we hold our water, so our runoff is minimal. We don't use a lot of nitrogen. So a lot of the varieties we might be up at 50, 60 units of nitrogen on them, in a calendar year. Corn is 300,
yeah.
you know. So it doesn't we don't use a lot of fertilizer on the vines.
Hmm. Yeah, that is a very unique.
We'll potash them. We use potash in the spring and then in the fall, and during fruit set, we use, more nitrogen at that point in time.
Hmm
You know, don't, we don't put out as much phosphorus. So,
Gotcha. Um, and then how does the harvesting, how long does it take you to harvest all of your cranberries?
um, usually we're running by the 20th of September and get done by the 23rd, 24th of October. So,
Okay.
usually we're running really hard for 2.5, 3 weeks, and we kind of do some and then we kind of stop and then we kind of do some and then we kind of stop and then we get to our Stevens, and then it's boom, go and get everything finised up.
Gotcha.
Kind of nice because you kind of break your equipment in, and something breaks on you, you kind of stop and you fix it. And so that works out, you know.
Yeah. No, that is good. Uh, yeah. So your daughter's there. Any of your boys around, or is it they all
No,
around?
Vince retired from the NFL. And then he's actually in Nashville now.
Okay.
Uh, he's he works with an organization that's called PAC.
Okay.
It's a player driven, they're kind of working on what do the players want to do, after they get done, playing professional football.
hmm
And so they bring in players. NFL has a certain amount of money that they have set aside for their education, and then they hold these events. They're like a training camp. They bring in players and kind of refocus them on their mind, body, all different aspects. So they'll bring in CEOs of different companies. So it's a lot of different networking that takes place for these players. It's a team building type organization. So I think PAC puts on, I think, 4 events a year. They've been just super successful. He kind of was in with those guys when they first kind of got going. So, um, and I think they're spreading to, I think they're going to do something in the NBA, something in the NHL. So, uh, kind of spread their wings a little bit, but it's really been successful, and guys are responding really well to that. They talk about financial planning. These they'll let down after you get done playing. Some of the depression issues, as guys transition out of football. You know, so they focus on all of that, for these guys, and it's been really successful. And then he's also doing some different real estate ventures that he's got going on down there. So he's
Hmm.
he's doing a bunch of different stuff, some Airbnb stuff. He's got some property, or right on Music Row. He's got a couple different properties there, Airbnb properties, and so he's doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a really cool organization. I mean, because it's kind of almost similar to like a veteran thought almost because you're kind of changing your whole life, kind of reintegrating almost back into society. So
Right.
that's a
Yeah, you
cool.
go from almost that war mentality um, in the military and armed forces, and then you get out and you're like, okay, who am I? What's my purpose? And then you got to refocus things, in your life. So I think that's what these guys are going through, and that organization really helps. So
Yeah, no, that sounds really cool. And that's cool that he gets to do that. Kind of keeps his foot in the football world, but also gets to, move on and move on to
right.
other things. So,
Right. I mean, it is. I mean, because he's able to, share his experience, and being injured and hurt, and then getting cut and coming back and getting hurt again, and I mean, all of those guys have went through it. NFL stands for not for long. You don't. It's not. I think the average career is maybe 3 years. So you don't hang around in that game. It's hard to hang around for a long period of time. So you got to transition out of that and figure out what you're good at, and you got to do it quickly, because if you don't, you're starting to burn into your savings and into that money, and the burn rate on that money. Guys don't realize how fast that goes, especially if they don't curtail their the way they live.
well,
So their living expenses, all of a sudden, you don't have that income coming in anymore, and you better learn how to live on a budget. So
yeah, yeah, the $1 million homes and nice cars definitely start taking a toll if you.
yeah, yeah, and then all of a sudden, I mean, those aren't maybe the worst. You make some bad investments, or
Mm,
you get divorced, and all of a sudden it's like boom, boom, boom. The money's gone pretty quick. So, they try to help those guys with that too.
yeah, no,
How to
that's
how to save it, how to resist the temptation to keep spending it, all of that stuff. So
no, that's cool. That is a cool organization. I'll have to look more into that because I didn't know that. Um, but yeah, well, I don't want to keep you too much longer because I assume it's around your dinner time because it's 6:43 there, so it's only 5:43 here.
yeah.
But I appreciate you coming on and letting me talk to you for a little bit, and hope that you were
So
able to.
where do you put this on? How does this go on? Do you have YouTube, or what do you have?
Yeah, so I haven't posted anything yet, mostly because I'm just building a little bit of a back order, I guess you could say, of some videos. And then so after this one, I'll probably start rolling them out on
Okay.
YouTube. And then I'll probably do like a Spotify, just podcast one where it's just maybe the audio or something. But yeah.
All right. Good deal, Noah. It was good chatting with you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I really appreciate it.
See, tell your pops to get a hold of me if he wants to go to Africa, and I mean, our the candle's burning. There's not much, we're getting old. So
Yeah, no, I think he would love to do that. When I'm in the military, I'll be stuck in Texas for a while, so he might come down and do some hog hunting or something, so we'll
yeah,
see. But yeah,
yeah, we talked about him getting down to Ty's Ranch down in South Texas. So we'll have to have to see what he wants to do. But yeah, Africa would be a pretty cool place. I think he'd enjoy that. So,
Okay, yeah, I'll let him know. I think I'll talk to him tonight, so I'll make sure to put that in it, start putting it in his ear for you. So,
all right, sounds good. Yeah, I think he'd enjoy it. So, all right, sounds good. No,
yeah, thank you so much. We'll talk to you later.
bye.
Bye. Thank you for watching or listening to this show. If you're enjoying the show, please like, subscribe, and even share with a friend. And we will see you next time on the Ranch Hand Show, where we will continue to grow our plans.